Nice mansions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got some good picks.
We're live, guys. It's good to have the whole gang back here. Bob, you enjoyed your vacation in Montana?
Yep.
Nice.
Really nice.
Like was in Newport this weekend, and
Yeah, it made me realize I need an actual vacation. Like I was on the boat relaxing for an hour, and I'm like, I couldn't even tell you the last time I mentally checked out for 10 minutes. I have to actually start doing that more.
yeah,
Terrible at it.
and yeah, it looks like the market's trying to pick up this rally right from where we left off last week. Bob, what's going on here?
Well, if you take the United States out of the equation, the rest of the world looks like things are starting to happen. I mean, Europe's numbers aren't that bad. Asia's not that bad.
Dad, let's call an orange here. This virus is all to get Trump out now. It is. I'm done pretending it's an opinion. It's not. You can look at the data of the deaths. This thing is bogus. And that's why I'm so bullish in the market. It is what it is. And I hate that term, but in this situation, the writing's on the wall. The rest of the world's getting back. We have some of the best healthcare on the planet, and yet things are fumbling with reopenings. It's bullshit. Trump clearly has way more power than people even realize and must be really doing better than advertised in this re-election campaign, is my guess. That's what this is. So
I think the difference is between the rest of the world and us is they wear masks, and it took a long time for people here to start wearing them. And
Dad, let's talk about the seasonalities of the markets a little, because I know every year you seem to always bring up what markets traditionally do in certain months versus others. Where are we at right now in that cycle?
Yeah, I don't think that means a lot anymore, except now we're in an election year, so it does matter between now and November. But it's really hard to separate what causes what in the market anymore. I mean, you would think that the market would be selling off on the basis of Trump losing, but maybe there's enough people that think the stability of a non-Trump White House is as important as how it's going to affect, the taxes. So it's hard to really get a good handle on the seasonality right now, if you want seasonality.
And are there certain indicators that you look for when you're looking at the markets to determine whether or not you think the markets are overvalued or undervalued, whether it's a short term or long term? Like I know certain people use RSI, other people use other things. Do you ever look at any of those tools just for your own?
Well, a lot of it is also common sense. I mean, if you look at some charts and the stock is up 10, 11, 12 days in a row, your gut tells you it's time for it to sell off. And then when you start looking at the underlying, the RSI or any of the other type of technical aspects to look at, it'll back it up. So I don't think you have to get too technical about individual names, when they've moved so many days in a row.
I find the RSI to be really interesting because that's basically, for our viewers, an indicator that measures whether or not the stock market's overbought or oversold. And you could plug in whatever numbers you want. But typically when the RSI reaches that 80 level, even if it's above 70, but when it reaches 80, you very rarely see it above 80 without some type of steep sell-off. And it's interesting looking at it now because the S&P is nowhere near 80. Looks like it's got a lot of room to run, but the NASDAQ's basically knocking on that door where it's right at 80. So you ask yourself, is it possible for a correction in the NASDAQ where the S&P and the Dow continue, or is it completely irrelevant? But I will say, when you look at the RSI and you look at charts, and whether you look at the last 3 months, year, 5 years, anytime the RSI hits a certain level, which is like you said, 80, the market sells off.
I mean, that's giving you a great indication that maybe there's going to be some rotation away from NASDAQ into some of the S&P and Dow names, and we probably are due for another rotation. Intel got a downgrade today. Not that that's been part of the NASDAQ movement, but it's part of NASDAQ. It's also part of the Dow. Yeah, no, I think that makes sense to probably sell some NASDAQ and move into some other names.
And then, Tesla, which has just been on a roar, is another interesting one where the RSI has been hovering at the 80 level. And,
Yeah.
These stocks have just gone on unbelievable runs. And even right now, I'm looking pre-market, Workhorse was down and then jumped right back up. Looks like it wants to continue whatever journey it's on. Fastly, though, is down. That stock looks like it's maybe done going up. And I don't know. I mean, what are you guys looking at today? Are you looking to make any moves in the market?
And adding,
I've been so aggressive. I've already made plenty of moves. At this point, I want my money to just keep stacking.
adding to that, Spotify got a downgrade today, and that's another one of those names that's been on a roaring run.
So that'll be a great buying opportunity. Whoever downgraded them is a schmuck. I don't even own them at the minute, but that's, to me, I love hearing those things because it's just someone that's like, wanting to take the wind out of someone's sails a little. That's a dominant company in stock. I'm curious. I'm going to get back in it on a pullback. So I'm glad to hear someone is trying to force that hand. But yeah, I bought some Beyond Meat last week. I bought some Ericsson Technologies that I told you guys about, the symbol Eric. I bought Harley Davidson, which is
got an upgrade today, Mike.
Boom, baby. Thank you, Paul.
It's either an upgrade or an initiation with an overweight.
I mean, Paul was in there last weekend. He said it best. He's like, listen, they said they've been literally off the charts with purchases, with back orders, and all Harley Davidson was getting was shit on for months in this pandemic. And you would think this whole thing is actually helpful for them. So I'm glad to hear that happened. And yeah, I got in, as you guys know, last week, the psychedelic. That was my first entry into penny stocks. So I'm personally at this point.
Wasn't it up huge?
I'm up on each of them. I'm up almost $1,000 total. And I only threw $1,000 into each.
So percentage-wise, they're up massively since you bought them.
Yeah.
Like you buying them might have sent those.
They were probably waiting on that. I mean, I've been a guinea pig in this movement. So for me, me, I walk the walk with things I do. And that's the rule of thumb. Warren Buffett drinks Coke. He buys Coke. I've tried psychedelics. I'll buy a psychedelic drug.
It's the biggest volume that those stocks have ever seen in their existence.
Well, I put something on Instagram. I think it triggered a tidal wave. I had like 8 people hit me up saying they bought some. So,
what are your guys' thoughts on Uber Eats buying Postmates? I think that's getting announced today.
I think that's great news for Lodell.
More consolidation, and it sounds like they'll allow that one to happen too.
Yeah, Dad's licking his chops over there. It seems like we're getting closer to that, light at the end of the tunnel, Bobby.
I think you got to get on the radar somehow.
We're getting on the radar.
Waiter's got a bid today. Speaking of stocks that have not really been in the limelight.
What do you mean a bid?
It's $3.45 bid right now. So that's up significantly.
Well, that's probably off that news.
Oh, it definitely is.
Off that news. Yeah.
We knew consolidation was needed in food delivery. We've known that more than anybody for a long time.
I don't know if this affects anybody's pricing, though. I don't think it's going to.
Of course it will. It'll affect us not having as many coupons being given for free in a Flagstaff.
Talk about a RSI at 80. Waiter. It's interesting because when you look at the last time it was there, it was May 12th, and the stock's high was at 389, and about 3 days later,
WTRH, anyone wondering?
3 days later, for anyone who's questioning that indicator, it went from 389 to 211 in 3 days.
Waiter's the poor man's Lodell. That's how I look at them.
So, yeah, it's interesting to...
It'd be like me running into the owner of the Mavericks randomly, grabbing a beer, and he has a blank check. That's basically what happened there, except it was the Rockets. Sure. I'm still like, I think that guy got hypnotized or something to make that deal.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's look at some of the morning movers here. It's the regular cast of characters. You got NI, NIO on there with serious volume.
What does NIO do? I mean, I see this symbol going by every day. Like, I mean, every day it seems like it's up $2.
They think it's from Neo from the Matrix. I think that's really what that is.
No, but every day that stock's up $2 and it seems to be the same price.
They're in the electric vehicle space.
Oh,
Yeah. I really don't know. You know, when you look at that entire space in general, Nikola, NIO, Tesla, you know, Workhorse, they're all trading together and they're all killing it. It's really bizarre what's going on in that space. I don't know. I really don't know what's going on.
I think it's all because of Elon Musk's success. Like at the end of the day, it's a lot of just perception off of, oh, well, we're in Musk's arena.
Well, he's selling shorts online. He'll probably make more money.
Yeah, it's great. He should send Greg Chory one of them. You don't bet against Elon Musk.
But you know, when you look at Workhorse, if you look at the 1-day chart, it looked like it was going to drop hard this morning, and then it shot up at like 8:15 pre-market. But that stock is definitely approaching levels. I mean, it hasn't gotten above 2250 yet, and you know, I don't know if it will. I would love to short this stock. I don't even think I could borrow the shares right now because there's so many short positions out. That's the problem.
Yeah, what are the Canadians playing today?
Chris Miller's Fit Soda.
No, the Canadian stock traders.
I mean, again, you got like the same names that have just been driving this. I don't want to say that have been driving this market higher because they're lower cap names, but with volume. Like Genius Brands is. Have you guys heard of this Genius Brands company? I know our buddy Dave first brought them up when they were trading way higher than they're trading now. That stock has definitely seen a lot of volatility. It's this company that like appears to be like a Netflix for babies, I guess. Have you guys looked into them at all?
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I mean the stock spiked to $8 and now is trading back to $4. That's on the high volume screener this morning of just one of these high flyers. It looks like it's possibly gonna have another day. And then, you know, none of the companies that are on this screener for really high volume stocks are companies I've ever even really heard of. So that's always
that's where it's scary, where you have a high flying stock you've never heard of. It's probably a lot of dumb money.
Well, that's been what's been going on the last month, really, is every day there's these stocks that I haven't heard of up until the last month that are just really high flyers, except American Airlines is always really high volume stock lately. That stock looks like it's going to have some sort of interesting day. It's always interesting to see on days like today, does the market hold once it opens? Because it seems like there's been a pattern where we wake up to the market wanting to open up pretty big, and then it opens and it's just a slow.
I think it's going to be up huge today.
But really? I think there's something, you know, Dan, that's an interesting point because it feels like the rest of the world is a lot more bullish than the United States right now. And
I think people are starting to wise up, though. Here.
Yeah, but the news all day long is negative on this virus.
Of course it is, because it's Trump.
Yeah, but I think that's been it's been trading like that for a few days. It opens up, then trades.
It's wild how manipulating the media has been for so long. Like it makes it tough to even watch anything.
See, I don't even know if after today, you know, market's up supposedly around 440 points right now for the Dow. These bank stocks, I don't think are at the high levels they were at the opening Friday. And, you know, they all traded down throughout the day. And here they are up big again for the opening off of what's going on in Asia and what's going on in Europe. And I don't know if it holds or not. It would
my question to you guys, would there even be masks in existence if this wasn't an election year? Seriously, like would that even be a question?
Well, you know, the mask story in general is an interesting one because when this thing first started, there weren't any masks in any vast quantity around the United States. So I think the original strategy was do not tell people to wear masks because we need them for the healthcare workers. So that was the narrative at the start of this thing, if you remember.
And the narrative has made no sense from day one.
Yeah, but that was the reason for the narrative. And then they just went with it, and for whatever reason, never really changed that strategy. And it's obvious by what's going on in Asia that masks are the answer to, stopping the spread of this thing. If people are wearing masks, this thing doesn't spread. End of story.
What thing are we talking about?
The virus.
I also saw some press release this weekend that was basically saying how the people that are like high up at the office, like the president and his cabinet or not, that they were going to release some information that they said could really move the markets about a vaccine. Like I saw CNBC wrote something on Saturday. Basically.
Well, yeah, Trump. Yeah, of course. They were bashing Trump on CNN months ago with that hydro whatever stuff he came out with saying works, and it does work. And now CNN just mentioned this weekend that it works.
Well, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about news on a vaccine that I think.
Yeah, in December. What Connell said, literally December, there will be a vaccine right after the election. So if that'll happen, no doubt about it.
This press release was basically implying that Trump and them might have really positive news about a vaccine that they're like waiting to, maybe not even waiting, that they might release any day. Because I think right now, they're trying to campaign off of a few things, one of them being the economy and the markets. So
I think, that's what I want to ask you guys. Dad, can you go over the thoughts of parlaying a Trump re-election into another raging run here? When people start realizing that he's probably going to be back in office, what do you see happening there?
Well, I think that would be a shock to the market at this point.
But a shock in a good way or a bad way?
Yeah, I think it would be positive. I don't think it would be as positive as when he won the first time, because that was, a remarkable run.
Are you sure, though? Part of me is thinking.
I am sure, because I think there's a lot of people that think that Trump is not a stable leader.
Well, they thought that 4 years ago remember your buddy thought we were heading to World War III.
Yeah, but the fact is, as time has gone on, I mean, the stability of Trump is in question.
What has been different? He's the exact same guy he was since he was born. I don't see how he's been.
I think when people, try to decide what to invest in, if you look at what's gone on over the last 4 years, there is a China deal, there isn't a China deal. These are really, very tough policies to get your arms around when it comes to investing long term for portfolio managers. They don't know what's coming next. Are we doing a deal with Korea? We're not doing a deal. It's just one thing after another that goes back and forth, up and down. No one knows what comes out next.
So, Dad, you're basically saying there's a chance the election is not going to really be that impactful.
Yeah, I'm beginning to think that, because I think there's a lot of people that are just going to feel more comfortable with the stability.
So that makes me even more bullish then, with the outcome of the election not meaning much with the market.
Yeah.
And all this money dumped into it recently. I'm here thinking, hey, we're in for good times.
And the other side of it is, if the Republicans can win the Senate and keep things balanced where the Democrats don't have all the power,
then nothing happens.
Then less will happen. Some things will happen, but it'll be less, which is also good for the market.
Which is like always, usually. Yeah. That's how politics work. No one's doing anything.
Yeah, let me ask you, when you use the RSI indicator, I don't know if you just use that.
RSI again.
Well, yeah, because my question is, how does it work when it comes down to time frames? Because I see, like, if you look at an RSI chart over the course of the year, it's obviously really easy to see what's going on. But if you look at an RSI chart in a day, you'll see it fluctuate from 30 up to 80 down to 30 in one single day, even though if you look at a longer chart, it never will get that high on a longer chart. So I'm wondering how it works when you look at an actual day.
Well, when you say a day, are you talking about an individual stock?
Yeah, like a trading session. Like, let's say, for example, Penn. just as an example.
Now, where is Penn's RSI right now? Can you put it in?
I mean, yeah, it basically looks like it closed, under 40 on the last trading session before today.
Uh-huh.
But when you look at, like, what I'm basically saying is there's obviously way less movement when you look at like a 1-year chart, where you could easily look at the time periods that it's over 80 and really overbought, and then you see the sell-offs, and times where it's under 30 and oversold, and then you see like the big increases. But then if you look at like a 1-day chart, you'll see that happen in a single day, where you'll see the RSI go up to 80, down to 30, up to 80, all in a single day.
Right.
And I guess my question is, what's going, like, how does that work?
Well, I mean, it's just individual trading within a day is going to be more volatile than when you spread it out over time. So you're going to get that kind of radical movement because there's less to go on. It's only 1 day of trading.
So it's possible for an RSI to be at 40 in the 1-day chart, but still be at like a 75.
Oh, yeah, because
when you're looking at the big picture.
You're just taking information from 1 day. So there's not enough data to, the more data you collect, the more accurate it'll be. So it probably works much better in a longer term chart than it would in a short term chart. But you might get a few minutes where it works.
Yeah, well, I'm seeing that in short-term charts. Short-term charts, it seems like a
But
great.
it's like that. It's like that with every short-term chart. If you look at moving averages, if you're looking at a 200-day or a 20-day, the 20-day is going to be extremely volatile compared to the 200-day.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I started looking at a lot, because it's those two indications are really almost dead on with what the markets do. And like, you could see when they start to cross over, and that's when
that's a big indicator. If you can get the 20-day crossing over the 200-day, that's a great buy indication for a stock. And it generally will follow that trend, at least for a short term.
And same goes if it crosses over on the other end, right? And that's, you could literally see
when short.
Yeah, and you could see when that happened with Penn stock.
And some people throw a 50-day in also. People can throw any amount of days they want, at any given time. It's dependent on what people are really looking at. But it basically does the same thing.
So you're basically looking at like the short-term moving average compared to the long-term moving average.
And some people, if they're day trading, just look at a 5-day.
Gotcha.
And compare that to a 20 or a 50-day, and they don't even look at the 200-day because they're just involved in a minute-to-minute trade.
And then the big thing with trading that you've always said is when everybody's using the same information,
it stops working.
It stops working. So you got to kind of figure out your own edge on the information, or else you're just looking at what everybody else is looking at.
Well, that's, when we talk about stop trades to protect our, gains or losses, the stops that you put in are probably the same stops that others are doing. So you're not going to get a good price if you do a stop market order, because the stock will continue to get hit or be bought, depending on what side you're on, due to all the stop losses at the same level.
Gotcha. So what are you guys looking at today? Are you looking to add to any positions or trim any? I mean, Dad, you must be looking at some of these stocks and looking at it like day after day. They're starting to go up too much. Which stocks are you?
Yeah, I was thinking, there's so much negative talk on Facebook. I feel like eventually that stock will probably come back to 225 or.
Facebook, he reminds me of Elon Musk, Zuckerberg. People just love bashing the guy, and he just keeps winning. Like, there's no stopping Facebook.
But I think if you own Facebook, it's an easy take some profits.
I'm with you there.
Due to the headlines and what's going on in Europe. I mean, they're just getting hit from every angle. And I get the feeling Google and Amazon are similar. I mean, these stocks are all up today. I mean, look at the chart of Amazon. This thing is a monster. So I'm thinking of selling some Amazon. I got a little bit of that. And
Amazon, RSI is over 80 for
on what?
on Amazon, which again,
Yeah. I don't think you can go wrong taking a little profit in Amazon.
I will say anytime, and right now I'm looking at a 3-month chart, anytime the RSI goes over 80 or touches it, the stock sells off every single time.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah,
just
and for our viewers, where can they see RSI?
it depends your trading platform. So you either have to pay a subscription for it, or like I'm on E-Trade Pro, which is like an application you download from the computer. So I'm able to like plug it into charts. But
you could usually add it into charts. They'll have different things that you want to follow that you could add to a chart.
Yeah, like on my E-Trade Pro thing, which again, Mike, you could probably get this too for your desktop. It's like an application to upgrade off of E-Trade. And you're able to plug in a lot of different lines, anywhere from like moving averages lines to RSI lines. I mean, there's a shit ton of them that you could plug in to like give you different levels of indication. Obviously, you can get carried away with it.
Yeah, after a while, it looks like a traffic jam, and you don't even see the stock movement anymore because you have so many things.
Yeah, but the way it's organized is pretty nice. Like the only two things that I put up are the RSI and the moving average, and they're under the actual chart. So you're looking at the chart, and then underneath you're able to see this RSI line, and it's amazing how it moves with the market. I'm curious in real time how much information it gives, because if you look at like a 1-day chart, you could see it goes like when you're looking at Amazon, there's parts of the day where the RSI is all the way down to under 30. And then that clearly shows like a buying opportunity for a for like a intraday spike in the session. And then you'll see it go from 20 all the way up to 80 just in the matter of 15 minutes, and then you'll see these spikes in the actual chart. So I think it's an interesting indication when you look at
it's also when you're talking about stocks that have momentum, which this market has been all about. RSI is important to look at because that's what it actually evaluates momentum in a stock. So it gives you a good idea.
Where can you find this on E-Trade?
Mike, I would download the E-Trade Pro, which takes like a little while to download, and it's an application you launch, almost like a poker application from your desktop. And there's so much more going on. Not only that, but E-Trade has a 15-minute delay. And when you're on the actual Pro desktop, it's all real time. So like before I was using this, I would realize like trades would get hit when the price wasn't even close to there. And then I realized it was 15 minutes behind. So you're kind of like missing out on a lot of information if you just use the regular E-Trade website, because it's all backed.
I don't even see this. Where is it?
If you go on, I'll show you after this. If you go on the actual E-Trade website, there should be like an option to upgrade to Pro.
Yeah, they're not good at laying this stuff out. I'm going to ream out their customer service.
TD Ameritrade, you can get it on their charting.
Mike, don't be like day trade. He got kicked off at E-Trade.
Awesome. Then I'll go to Fidelity. If they don't want my business, someone else will.
What was the reason he got kicked off?
He just called them and was giving them too much shit. They were probably like, this isn't like, we just don't want this on our platform. We don't need some guy that's going to blow us up to tens of millions of people making us look like idiots. Like, it's just not what we need. I thought it was a interesting move by them. I like it.
That's probably
it shows that they're not trying to appeal to a circus, and they're a professional trading platform.
Yeah,
they're not
owned by Morgan Stanley now, so I can understand.
There you go. So, Dad, pick of the day. Let's do picks of the day here.
Oh, man.
I know. It's getting tough, these picks of the day.
Yeah, I like the picks of time, over time rather than picks of the day.
Swing trade then? Fair enough.
The swing trading idea. Right today is definitely going to take off some. And I mentioned Amazon. The one stock I think that Booking.com would be my pick as a swing trade, because as I sell Amazon, Google, this stock is not really in the limelight ever.
What, BKNG?
BKNG. It's been quietly doing very well, and they're big businesses in Europe, Europe to Europe. So they're doing a ton of business over there. I think this stock will be okay, but it's an expensive stock. It's trading at 1,700.
How about Sabre?
Sabre, I think, will do well as things come back online. You know,
Let's get these gaming stocks roaring here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think Penn actually, like looking at the chart, is hopefully gonna get back into gear here. So I already own a lot. I'm not buying more. If anything, I'm waiting for it to get back to higher levels to take some off the table. But I'm gonna be rooting it on today hard because I own a lot of it.
And I think I'm going to add to my car position. That thing's come down a lot, and then it's going to go way up.
KAR for
KAR.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, let's get
another car has actually done very well too. If anyone,
CAR. That's Avis.
Avis.
Yeah.
Cool, guys.
All right, guys.
Yeah.